Fourth day, we went to the highest rated restaurant in Wales, 2 Michelin stars.
Ooh.
That was the main highlight. We also went to a castle. We went to Caernarfon Castle, which is really cool, and Portmeirion, which is like this really cool Italian Mediterranean style architecture town in Wales. It looks really sick. If you type it in Portmeirion, it should come up.
You're gonna have to spell it for Kai, bro.
It should come up. E-I M-E-I. Yeah, that one. Yeah, it looks really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like a kind of like really crazy looking place in Wales.
Yeah. Oh, that's super
really,
pretty.
really, really cool. Highly recommend going. But we went to this fucking 2 Michelin star restaurant in Wales. And this is by far the most expensive restaurant I've ever booked in my life.
Right.
But I thought, fuck it. We're in Wales. Let's show that the UK has some good food. And when we pulled up, it looked like a place where you would be murdered in a film. Because we had to go to the middle of nowhere, and it was like a compound.
Right.
And it was like fields and tents and like a mysterious house that was painted black. And then they had like a cellar that was visible as well. And a big like orange glass door.
Like the setting in like Cluedo or something.
Genuinely, yeah. It was like really like, what the heck? And I run in and I'm like, okay, we're filming. Is it all good? She's like, yeah. She's like, are you good to, it was like 5 o'clock. She's like, are you good to go in 20 minutes? I was like, I think so. Yeah, I think we're good. She's like, okay, just so you know, it'll be a 29-course meal and it will be 5 hours. I was like,
what?
I was like, I didn't know that. I should have probably done more research.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was like nice.
So that was just a day worth of content.
Well, you were eating for half the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were eating for half. So I was like, oh shit, okay. All right. Damn. And so I went back to the guys, I was like, by the way, guys, it's 29 fucking courses. And they were like, what? And we were all like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Full disclosure, the price of this was, I think, £400.
Okay.
So like $500. Insane.
Well, I mean, you are eating enough to feed a small kingdom.
Yeah, because I know people always want to know. So you can obviously take that in mind. And I think, you know, obviously the whole time people are memeing me because, like, dude, and I know people, this is the curse of living in Japan. This happened to be at other restaurants too, where like they bring out Japanese ingredients and they're like, this is a hamachi. This is a suit, and you're like, and then chat's just like spamming lol overpaid Japanese food, lol. So I'm like, I'm sitting there, and then we get inside, and there's other customers in the room with us in this little lounge area. We're waiting, and I'm like, oh, this vibe is like a little intense, and I kind of figured it could. I knew it was a risk.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, and then the Wi-Fi dies. And then I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Why is the Wi-Fi dying? So I asked the staff, I'm like, can I get on your Wi-Fi? Yeah, get on it. So I get on the Wi-Fi, doesn't work.
Yeah.
Great. So I had my star like outside of the window we're sitting at, maybe like a meter away from us.
Yeah.
It isn't working at all. I'm
Right.
like, this is ridiculous. It's right there. It should be working.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck do I do? And normally the way that we live stream, the device that uses it cannot connect to public Wi-Fi. Because you know when you connect to public Wi-Fi and it brings up a page and it's like, put your email in. I can't log into any of those because it's kind of like a
security thing.
Yeah, but it can log into public Wi-Fi if it's just completely open public Wi-Fi.
Right.
And it was. So luckily I connected to it and it worked in this one room. It's like, great, it worked. And then in this room, we had a drink and then they gave us this soup. And this is where I knew shit was about to get real because they gave us this duck broth soup. And I was like, it's like brown liquid. Well, how good can it be? And we take one sip and I'm like, it's the most intense flavor of anything I've ever had in my life.
Right.
It was like, and I was like, how did you make this? They were like, yeah, it's like duck bones, stuffing, everything they didn't use at the duck. And I was like, this could have been the 29 courses, this duck soup. and best thing was, that wasn't even one of the fucking courses.
Oh, wait, so it was actually 30 courses.
That was like the otoshi.
They were just giving you a little something to get you a little excited. I was like, that's fucked up. And they're like, do you want to come in the room and watch him like cut sushi? And I'm like, okay. So we go.
I bet you've never experienced this.
Yeah. So we watch him. You know, and I know they were really sweet about it because they were self-conscious too. They were like, yeah, we know that you all live in Japan. And stuff.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, they were understandable about it.
Yeah.
And I'll say this because this has happened a lot where people assume, and maybe you've had this as well, Jerry, as well, that because we live in Japan or you're Japanese, that you never ever want to try sushi anywhere else in the world. And most of the time, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. But I've been to some restaurants where they I wouldn't even call it sushi with what they do with it. They always add some weird stuff or they cook it in a certain way or they prepare it in a way that is, they would never even dare to do it in
It's like a
Japan.
remix of sushi.
Yeah, that is always like actually quite nice.
Yeah.
Like, I've had a couple in LA where I've really liked what they've done with it.
Yeah,
They've added
absolutely.
some ingredients that I wouldn't have added. Maybe they added some like sriracha powder or something that I wouldn't think to add that I feel like adds a lot.
I mean, look, as much as as much as we all know California rolls are not sushi, if there's California rolls on the menu, I'm eating that shit.
So when,
it's
when
great.
people are like, oh, the only real sushi's in Japan. If you want authentic sushi, I guess, I suppose. But I think sushi...
What even is authentic now?
Just like, adding nothing. It's just fish with... wasabi and
which
soy
is
sauce.
great, but again, if you want to spice it up and it still tastes good,
So if you live in a foreign country, look, your sushi is great too. It's just different. And I think when you come to Japan, you will enjoy a different flavor.
No, totally.
I think this is going to go on a tangent, but I think food is like, especially like modern cuisine, has evolved in a way where it's just become a lot more international, right? There used to be a time where the term like fusion was just like cringe as fuck, just because it was just like, okay.
Now it's fucking awesome.
Foreigner tries to cook cuisine of a country they've never been to or something like that. But now it's kind of like, okay, there's a real respect for the original dish, but then there's these local flavors that add to it. And a lot of the times I'm like, holy shit, this fucking slaps.
Yeah.
Because I had a similar experience where I went to, me and Sydney had our anniversary in England this year.
Yeah.
We went to a restaurant in Brighton, and one of the dishes there was chawanmushi.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. But I don't know, they added some like extra like seasoning because in Japan it's like super simple, right?
Yeah, it must be simple.
It's super simple, but they added some extra ingredients and some like local ingredients as well. And I'm like, I don't know what you added to this, but this doesn't taste like anything I've ever had in Japan.
Yeah.
And it tastes different, but it still tastes fucking great.
Yeah. Sometimes I would argue that the thing that is, remixed from the original food, I sometimes feel is even better than the original.
Yeah.
It's like the way I like to describe it is like, it's like, playing a mod in a game versus just playing the vanilla form. It's like the vanilla game is still good, but sometimes some mods are better than the original game.
Right. When you had a lot of sushi, sometimes you want to add some mods to the experience.
Add some mods to it, and it enhances the experience in some ways.
So I was really worried initially when it was like a lot of Japanese stuff being shown. They were like, we got Wagyu too. I'm like, oh. Okay, so.
Of course you do.
Wagyu. All right, sure. But he's got Wagyu. All right. And also I feel like Wagyu is just plain overrated.
Yeah.
I feel like
in most cases it is.
I still, after maybe because it's Japan and we've been spoiled, but like, it
has great marketing overseas.
Oh my God.
Wagyu. I mean, Japanese cuisine in general has great marketing overseas because whenever you go to like a more like fine dining kind of like establishment, like 90% of the time is gonna have some kind of like Japanese ingredients, if not a Japanese dish.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's like uniformity. Everyone knows Wagyu, right? And I think that helps. Whereas beef, it's like I don't really know what is like the big.
But beef from Japan,
right. Exactly, right. Where it's like, bro, I've had some of the fucking best steaks in my life in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
It's and I just kind of prefer normal steak anyway. So it is what it is.
So you have the Wagyu.
So we, the 29, and we get, and then after the lounge area, they're like, okay, we're ready to seat you. And I was like, oh God. So we go through this room and there's like so many people so close together. And I was worried that we'd be right next to someone or we wouldn't be able to see anything or get a good angle for the camera, but they were very generous and they literally put us like in front of the chef.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, you can see me and Pete in the kitchen.
Oh, cool.
So it's actually really cool. And it's a really great seat. And I think that I appreciate, I know that they, obviously when you're filming, they're going to give you, they want to give you a good seat to show off normally, but so I appreciate that. They were very kind about it. So we had a really nice seat and it was great because then we didn't have any customers in our shop, which is great because I didn't want to, if I had paid $400 or £400 for a meal, the last thing I would want is to be in someone's fucking camera frame.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair. I'm completely sympathetic to that. And I was very mindful of that. And I did ask them, I was like, can we please get a table where there is an angle where I don't show any customers? So, that's like a once in a lifetime experience to go to a restaurant like that. And we're very fortunate that we're fucking privileged streamers and we can go like, it's just a fucking work thing. But I know there are a lot of people that's like, that might be something they've saved up for years. Or
I mean, it's a experience,
And it was,
at that point where you are sitting there for 5 hours having a 29 course meal, you are paying for the experience as much as you are just paying to eat,
My only question before you move on though was, and I always ask this with anyone who ever goes to any kind of fancy restaurant, whether it's Michelin star or not, how good was the bread?
Dude, we didn't have any bread.
What the fuck?
we didn't have any
All
bread.
right, now I'm interested.
Okay. There's no bread.
Unbelievable.
No bread. I mean, it's 29 courses. Well, 30.
You'd hope one out of the 29 would be bread. Was there really no bread?
I think there was one point where there was bread.
Okay.
Oh, no, it
Bro,
was.
can't remember.
Wait, no, there was one bread and it wasn't. It was disgusting how good it was.
Okay.
It was bread. It was bread for like.
At least it was going to be disgusting.
It was like peak bread on its own, but it was with like for scooping up.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's
how you know. That's how you know. Yeah.
And so that, okay, really worried. We sit down in this restaurant. There's like two problems right away. For some reason, the Wi-Fi that worked in literally the room over doesn't work in this room. So now I need a new Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Great. None of my other internet things are working because we're in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, why? So I'm asking the staff, can I use your the corporate Wi-Fi? I can see it's there. And they're like, nah, no.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. I'm like, shit. And they connect to this Wi-Fi that none of us can connect to on our phone. For some reason it works. So we have the stream. Great.
Yeah.
Problem one solved. Problem two, it is so loud. There is literally a DJ right behind us. There is a DJ spinning disc. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
At a Michelin restaurant?
At a Michelin star restaurant, there's a guy DJ. And I'm like, this is so dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, this is so cringe. I hate this. But by the end of the night, I'm won over. It works.
It's like, damn, he was good.
Yeah, so he's like literally apparently, and they were telling me that apparently he changes the music every night. It's a different set list.
Right,
Okay, sure. We'll talk about the music in a little bit. So the courses start coming out, and it's all the sushi that starts coming out first, and it's not really sushi. It's like there'll be a piece of hamachi, and I think they all did something like really different with it. Like it wasn't just like sushi and soy sauce. It was always like like we're used to, and whenever we go anywhere in like LA or wherever it is in the world. Yeah, they had a bunch of different ingredients. I can't remember off the top of my head. There was 29 fucking courses.
Yeah.
It was fire though. It was amazing.
Oh yeah, that's good.
There was like not a single dish that was like bad.
But what was the best dish?
Well, you fucking hope so. You're paying £400 for it.
Dude, so okay. First of all, the one we had one guy who was great, very funny, very fun vibes.
Yeah.
All the staff was so cool. They were so willing to talk on camera. It was amazing. It was genuinely so fucking good vibes, which I appreciate because it could have easily have gone not good vibes.
Yeah. Like super serious.
There was one point in this meal where they brought out the roast duck, and this duck had been through the fucking decathlon of preparation. It was they'd said a bunch of terminology I don't understand, but there was a duck that was. I'm telling you, the smell and the view of this duck was like salivating. It was. I don't know if you guys like roast duck.
I love
roast duck.
It was. It was like, oh my God, I can't even begin to describe how fucking good this duck looked.
Yeah.
And we literally, and then they hang it up. And so me and Pete for like the next 8 courses just kept talking about how badly we wanted to fucking eat the duck.
But I'm salivating just like thinking about roast duck.
right.
Yeah, and we just kept making it. And like Pete, he was like, fuck it, I'll eat the napkin. Because they had like a napkin underneath these ducks hanging, dripping.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll fucking eat the napkin. I'm feral right now. I'll leave my wife for that napkin. And the head chef is like, I guess he could hear it. He's like laughing. And so after about like 10 minutes, he brings out the napkin for Pete to just have. And then also, I guess he's like, look, this is a little something extra on me. He cut off the skin.
Yeah.
And he gave us all a piece of the skin that isn't normally included. Just the skin to eat.
Yeah.
And it was like, I cannot begin to describe how insane this one bite was. It is fucked up how I can, it's the bite to end all duck.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if I really wanted to eat duck and eat a fuck ton, I would just go to a local Chinese place and get a fuck ton. But as a one bite goes, it was pretty fucked.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So that's great. And then the other thing that was really crazy was that there was one dish. Let's use the fillet, the Wagyu fillet. How could they use this? How do you think they would use a Wagyu fillet at a Michelin star restaurant? What do you think they can prepare it with? There was some weird shit that I'd never heard of.
I don't know. I've only been to a few Michelin star restaurants, and every time they bring out something as simple as a Wagyu, I'm like, oh, it'll just be like Wagyu with maybe a bit of sauce on the side and some veggies or something. So I don't know what they put it on ice cream or something.
So okay, first of all, we did have ice cream. This was the most pretentious one that I was like, this sounds dumb.
Yeah,
it was like duck liver ice cream with caviar and something else. And I was like, this sounds awful.
Yeah, that sounds
and
gross.
I'm like, this is going to be shit. It was like, it was every dish was like that. I was like, this sounds dumb. This sounds stupid. Why would you do this? And then they'd gone through like I think loads of the stuff was grown on the site as well. Like, they had like a bunch of the syrup they used, which was birch syrup or something that they harvested themselves. It was so like everything that could be pretentious was pretentious.
I mean, anyway, Michelin stuff.
Yeah.
So the Wagyu fillet, right? This is where we were all like, oh God, Wagyu fillet. I'm paying like fucking $100 for this one stupid piece of steak. This little metal box comes out. And it kind of looks like a I don't know, like a burger box, but it's like metal. And so they're like, all right, please open the box. And you open it. And on this Wagyu fillet, I see red, yellow, and like a little pickle. They just made a fucking Big Mac. It's meant to be like a cheeseburger. I'm not kidding.
Wagyu cheeseburger?
He called it the one bite burger or something. I don't know what it was.
Oh yeah.
And it was a Wagyu that'd been turned into a cheeseburger. And I was like, okay. Actually, I'm on board. I feel like this must be some kind of joke at like the menu with the burger.
The burger thing.
Probably, yeah.
Because it's like, who wants to and honestly, I think it's kind of genius because it's so pretentious. Everything about this restaurant is pretentious. So to have something that should be like a fucking burger, I'm so down.
They'll like kind of like trivialize the pretentiousness in a way.
And it was fucking godlike, obviously.
Of course.
It was amazing. Everything was amazing. It was fucking stupid. There was not a single dish that was bad. And the DJ would change songs with every dish. And then as you would bite it, the fucking beat would drop on a bunch of the songs. I don't know if he was doing it to me or that was coincidence, but occasionally you would bite into it and he would the beat would drop. It was ridiculous. And then it was kind of fun.
It's like a TikTok edit.
It was ridiculous, dude. And actually, you know what? It was kind of nice because it took, I'd been to like a couple, I mentioned I went to the one in Belgium. It was like I accidentally booked a fucking Michelin star restaurant. Didn't know. I went there for fucking lunch because I thought it would be cool in a church.
Yeah.
That was like really like stuffy. And it felt like if I had dropped my fork even like a little bit, like everyone would be like,
yeah.
But this was like, it kind of made it a lot more fun, like a lot more casual.
Yeah.
And then like Pete was joking like, what are you gonna do? Get like a disco ball? And then on the last dish, they fucking dropped a disco ball. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
That sounds awesome.
But then like I wanted to hate so much of it because you're like, you're like, oh, you're being pretentious. It's not worth it. But then everything was just kind of fun. Like,
see, that's what it should be, though.
They just made it like really fun, and like the food is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And like Pete, of course, he was bantering with some of the other customers. Of course, they were like reacting. They were like, going crazy when they're eating this food, going, "Oh my god!" And Pete's like, "That's amazing, right?" And everyone's like, "Yeah." So it's it's all really like it was just like phenomenal vibes that worked out really well, and all the staff was so sweet, and
so worth the price tag.
Yeah, the most important thing is it worth the price?
Obviously, it's hard to ever justify that because at the end of the day, you're paying for food.
Yeah.
And I think it's a thing of if you can afford it, I think for the experience, you get to try expertly prepared food from a bunch of different cuisines and like
in
of the highest
environment.
quality in a fun environment. Like, the amount of time got into that is kind of absurd. And if you wanted something of that level, it would probably have to cost a ridiculous amount because there's all this stuff is coming all over the place and being fucking harvesting trees to make syrup to put in the ice cream. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So in there's no real way to justify it as like a common thing. But if you were like, if you
like
had
a once in a lifetime.
If you had a really special occasion, fuck yeah. I mean, like what a cool experience. And like,
totally.
Think about the actual like the amount of staff that were there working on that. It's it's really ever hard. It's really easy to justify this kind of stuff and the price, but there was a lot of love gone into it, and everyone was really nice. And if they were pretentious, I'd be the first person to be like, "Don't fucking go, don't waste your money."
Yeah,
but
there are some restaurants definitely like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
especially a lot of Michelin star restaurants too.
Oh, dude, I feel like obviously we're very lucky. We've been to quite a lot. We're very very privileged.
Yeah.
And more than half of them I would never ever go to again.
No,
I don't. Or even recommend. I'd think like it's just generally not worth it. But this one was really, really fun. I'm not just saying that because it's Wales, but yeah, really, really good restaurant. And then thank you, Anastasia, for being so cool and having us. It was really cool. I must go back at one point in my life, and without a camera.
I must go back.
I must go back. I genuinely, and we still.
You sold it to me pretty well.
So we stayed there as well because they have accommodation there.
Oh, okay.
And there's a couple of really beautiful, and it was a shame because it's raining. It was shit, but you'd have a beautiful view of this like really amazing like estate. And we left in the morning. They said that they prepare breakfast, and in my head,
it's a 29 course.
In my head, I was like, "Oh my god, that course is crazy! It's going to be something ridiculous." And I've lived in Japan, so I'm expecting the most insane breakfast.
Weatherspoon's like.
They have made a gourmet egg McMuffin.
Bro,
Okay.
I'm sold.
And I'm not going to lie.
I'm sold.
It hit so hard. I have never in my life wanted a gourmet egg McMuffin. And now I've had it. I can't live knowing it exists. And I can't have it more. It was so fire.
Hell yeah.
It was like, I think they used, I don't know what the meat was. I think it was like the Wagyu beef that they like minced into a fillet, and it was like fresh egg.
I'm fucking
fresh
hungry,
cheese.
boys.
Yeah, no.
I don't know about you guys. I
bread,
can't wait for
fresh
lunch.
bread. I know, dude. It was like, I can't. I was like slightly hungover because we drank a lot too, and it was.
They knew.
Yeah, bro.
They knew it's like, oh, you've been hungover, this will hit you.
I was gonna go feral, that they only gave us one. It was kind of evil. They only gave us one.
Right.
Next time if I go, I'm gonna request. Can I please get two?
No, but that's how they bait you back in, right?
Dude.
It's like they leave you on a cliffhanger and they're like, if you want more of this, you know when to come back.
At some point in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know when. I'm going back because it was so fucking good that I have to go back. And it's ridiculous.
I'm gonna need you to drop the location.
I'll say. Yeah. I know, because I know, people watch and they'll be like, yeah, that's insane. That's like a monthly salary in certain places, and it is ridiculous. And I know that is, and it's always hard to talk about stuff that's expensive on the podcast because people are like, I can't relate. It's like, well, look, we're not trying to be relatable. Just trying to fucking live my life and then tell everyone about what's going on. You know, like, and I feel like if we are so concerned with, making sure that we're like pretending or lying about like this kind of stuff, I feel like it's just an injustice to what we're doing. But no,
we're not doing this every other week, guys. Don't worry.
This is me just trying to fucking cope and explain why it's justified. You know that guy, the fucking Legend of Zelda CDI, where he's like me trying to explain why it's okay for me to go here.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.